The term can crusher refers to a fighter who pads their record fighting less than stellar competition. Although more associated with boxing, MMA's seen a number of fighters build deceptively strong records, only to come unstuck the moment their opponents took an upturn. Welcome to the INC, and these are 5 of MMA's biggest can crushers. Michael Venom Page is one of Bellator's biggest stars, and one of its most controversial. Page made his Bellator debut in 2013, where he quickly amassed a 10-fight winning streak, earning himself a cult following thanks to his in-ring histrionics and highlight reel knockouts. Despite the plaudits, Page was often criticized for his low level of competition, with all of his wins coming against regional journeymen and mid-level fighters well past their prime. His biggest win prior to 2019 coming against Chris Cyborg's ex-husband, Evangelista Santos. At Bellator 216, Page finally earned his jump in quality against UFC veteran Paul Daly. The fight was billed as the biggest match in British MMA history, but as any soccer fan will tell you, never trust the Brits to perform on the big stage.
About right now, somewhere in here, your referee should come in and start saying, hey, I need you to start fighting.
Page would win a forgettable fight by unanimous decision, but his lackluster performance raised doubts over whether he could compete at the top level, something which became evident when he faced Douglas Lima 3 months later. Page returned to can crushing after the loss, scoring wins over 3-1 Richard Kiley and 13-4 Giovanni Melillo, bringing his MMA record to 17 wins and a single loss. To old school fans, Jason Reinhardt remains the sport's most notorious can crusher. Reinhardt was already in his 30s by the time he made his MMA debut, and after a 17-fight streak of first-round submissions, questions were raised over the legitimacy of the Illinois native. Only 5 of Reinhardt's wins came against opponents with winning records, with most being MMA newcomers who never competed in the sport since. He was often accused of working with local promoters to give him more favorable matches. Reinhardt was defensive of accusations of can crushing on social media, noting many of his opponents outweighed him by 20 pounds and most were champions in other combat disciplines, but it didn't stop him continuing to fight debutantes despite entering double digits. To his credit, Reinhardt did claim a win over a 15-0 fighter in 2007, and was often praised by his peers for being one of the most colorful characters in the sport.
I gave my parents a crowd.
The bottom fell out for Reinhardt at UFC 78, when he was pitted against Ultimate Fighter contestant Joe Lauzon. Lauzon took just over a minute to send Reinhardt back to the regional circuit, where he responded with submission wins over 1-9 Marcus Herman and MMA newcomer Cody Larson. Reinhardt made 2 further appearances in the UFC, losing to Zhang Tietian and Edwin Figueroa before hanging up the gloves in 2011. Travis Fulton holds the record for the most wins in MMA history, a statement which carries as many questions as it does answers. Fulton has been an MMA staple for over 20 years, facing the likes of Rich Franklin and Andrei Arlovsky, and even enjoying a short spell with the UFC, but it's his fights after leaving the promotion that built his reputation. Over the next 2 decades, Fulton built an unprecedented number of wins on the regional circuit, fighting on an almost weekly basis, with most of his wins coming against MMA newcomers, and anyone desperate enough for a quick paycheck. Fulton's best winning streak was a 40-fight spell between 2005 and 2007, including facing a 1-14 opponent 3 times in the span of a month, Fulton having won each of these fights by first-round knockout. Fulton does have some notable wins on his record, beating future Pride veteran Heath Herring in 1999, as well as a submission victory over Cabbage Carrera at a Super Brawl event in Guam. Fulton last fought in 2019 with a win over 58-89 Shannon Rich, bringing his record to 255 wins, 54 losses, and 10 draws. Nadia Kassem's young career has already had its share of can-crushing accusations. Kassem appeared to have everything you look for in a young prospect, winning all her fights by first-round knockout and becoming a regional champion in her native Australia. But her achievements soon became less stellar when placed under a microscope. Kassem's regional level opponents boasted a collective 0-11 record, 2 of which never competed in MMA again after their loss, while another, Belinda Sedgwick, was a former drug addict who lost all 6 of her professional bouts. To add further scrutiny, Kassem's wins came for the Urban Fight Night promotion run by Suman Mokhtarian, who happened to be the coach and boyfriend of a certain, what was her name? Oh, that's right, Nadia Kassem. Despite the red flags, Kassem was signed to the UFC and given a main card slot against Montana de la Rosa at UFC 234. Kassem's shortcomings were soon exposed, getting taken down almost immediately and showing little evidence of a ground game as de la Rosa ended the fight by submission 2 minutes into the second round. Despite her performance, Kassem was given another chance against Korean striker Kim Ji-yeon. In front of 60,000 fans in her native Australia, Kassem was eager to make amends for the first loss of her career. Dare I say, a little too eager.
Nadia Kassem comes back at plus 145 and early knockdown for Kim. Kassem back to her feet.
The knockdown was a sign of things to come, as Kassem offered little answer to Kim's striking before a succession of body shots took their toll on the youngster. Ironically, a similar fate befell Mokhtarian himself, building an 8-0 regional record before being cut by the UFC after 2 losses. Kassem is set to face Miranda Granger later this year, knowing a third straight loss may spell the end of her UFC tenure. This last segment is devoted to the Explode Fighting Series in California. First launched in 2011, Explode ran regional-level events from a Native American reservation in San Pasqual, but soon became infamous for their egregious mismatches designed to pad the record of prospect fighters. A notable example was featherweight fighter Deshaun Johnson, who earned a UFC contract after a 9-fight winning streak with the promotion. This despite 8 of his opponents having never won a fight and 1 boasting an 0-11 record. Several notable figures have been associated with Explode. Pat Cummins fought for the promotion prior to his UFC bout with Daniel Cormier, while referee Jason Herzog worked early Explode events before leaving as he felt the matchmaking wasn't allowing him to do his job correctly. Explode attracted further controversy for its health and safety measures, with fighters receiving stitches on dirt ground and foregoing blood tests to make sure athletes don't have transmittable diseases. Explode's most infamous can crush came in 2015, when Bellator champion Ilima-Mei McFarlane took on 0-2 Katie Castro, whose previous fights had ended in less than 30 seconds. It went as expected. The California State Athletic Commission launched a formal investigation into Explode shortly after, and in September 2015 announced they would no longer recognize events held by the promotion. And now, time for a few honorable mentions. Julio Cesar Neves earned a Bellator contract off of a 28-fight winning streak, 19 of those coming against opponents with losing records. Wayne Weems' 12-2 run was quickly exposed on Season 5 of The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, Wayne, I don't think he has too much skills. His stand-up game is not there. His ground game is not there. His endurance is not there.
Thomas Ramirez entered UFC 8 claiming to be unbeaten in 400 street fights, a boast quickly dismissed by Don Fry.
And Fry knocks down Ramirez, and that is it.
This is the INC. Support the channel on Patreon.